So sad to hear of Scott's brother.
Yes, it really is.
I sent him a text. I truly understand how he
Sweeney's here.
feels.
Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, Dale. We're just getting my laptop up and running right now. That's why I'm on my phone. Excuse me, Mr. County Councilman.
Okay.
Good morning, Marty. Welcome.
Thank you.
Joe, we are live on YouTube, so I guess whenever you and Janine are ready, I guess you guys can go ahead and start.
Janine, are we ready to go?
Good morning, Dale. Good morning, everyone. Yes, you do have a quorum.
Okay, well, we all know the sadness, the passing of Scott's brother Jeff overnight, and as a result, as vice chairman, I'm going to run the meeting this morning, and I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Miller,
Here.
Ms. Conwell,
Present.
Ms. Baker,
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
There is a quorum. Also, as you just noted, Councilman Miller, Mr. Tuma is absent from the meeting today, and Mr. Jones is also in attendance.
Okay, thank you, Council President, for joining us. And has anybody signed in for public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
Okay, thank you very much. And at this point, I would like to ask everybody for a moment of silence to offer our condolences on the passing of Scott's brother, and also we can reflect good thoughts for our country on the transition of national leadership. Thank you very much, everybody. And item number 4 on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the December 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Public Works Committee. Do I have a motion relative to those minutes?
So moved.
Is there-
Second, Conwell.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion from Councilwoman Baker and a second from Councilwoman Conwell to approve the minutes for December 2nd as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes for December 2nd are unanimously approved. And we go to item number 5 on the agenda, which is matters referred to committee, of which we have a sizable number. And the first item is resolution 2021-0002. So I would ask the clerk to please read that into the record.
Resolution number 2021-0002, approving the Metro Health System's policies and procedures to participate in one or more joint purchasing associations.
Thank you very much. This is a routine resolution that we have to pass every year on behalf of Metro Health purchases. I believe we have either Mike Tobin or Justin Gallo from Metro to speak on behalf of that. Is this correct?
Correct, Council. This is Justin Gallo from the Metro Health.
Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, so in order with the resolution, the Metro Health System asked for permission to proceed forward and using group purchasing organizations on behest and benefit of the county and procurement policy.
Okay, are there any questions by any of my colleagues? Hearing none, we're already into 2021, so I think a passage on second reading suspension would be in order. Is there a motion to make that recommendation?
So moved to the recommendation.
Second, Conwell.
It's been moved and seconded by Ms. Baker and Ms. Conwell to move resolution 2021-0002 to the full council with recommendation for passage on second reading suspension. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is so recommended, and we go on to resolution 2021-0010.
Resolution number 2021-0010, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires resurfacing of various avenues, boulevards, roads, and streets located in various municipalities in connection with the 2021-2022 50/50 resurfacing program.
Good morning, Nicole English with Public Works. So
Good
this
morning.
first item, sorry, the first item is our 50/50 program awards for 21 and 22. Normally we'll do a year at a time. We select 2 years at one time, but we present them as council at one. But because we're kind of lagging behind, we wanted to just present both 21 and 22 together so the cities can be made aware of their awards and they can start planning for their projects. So this is our typical 50/50 program where the cities had applied for projects. They will design the project and they will construct the project. We will contribute 50% up to a maximum of $250,000 per project, and based on what they asked for. So some projects, if they're under 500, they may be getting awarded a little bit less than $250,000. But in general, most of them have projects over 500, so they're getting the maximum award of $250,000. I've provided a spreadsheet and a map to make it easier for you to be able to see where the projects are, the project limits, the municipalities that they're in, and their project costs. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of the projects or the program in general.
Thank you very much, Ms. English. Do we have any questions by any of my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Martin Sweeney.
Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, Ms. English, I'm just trying to figure out, I'm new on this, so I might have some redundant questions. The selection process, can you tell me a little bit about the submissions, and is there a ranking and how long the dollars will stay in place in case the project doesn't move forward in a 2-year period? And a Cliff Note version, and if not, I'd like to have the opportunity to come sit with you, understand a little more intimately and not take all the time up on educating myself right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. We can be quick today, and then we're happy to follow up with you. We have kind of a package of all of our road and bridge programs that we take out to cities, and we've met with different council people when they come in. So we're happy to meet with you and go through all of our programs. But real quick, the 50/50s, the cities apply for these. So last fall, I want to say, or last summer, we put out a request to every city. They send in projects that they would like to be scored. We score all the projects. They're mainly scored based on average daily traffic. So the more traffic, the higher points they get. Pavement condition rating. So the worse the pavement, the more points they'll get. We use an economic health score, which is similar to what DOPWIC or Issue 1 uses. That's tied to poverty level in the city and average income in the city. And then there is a score if they've gotten a project recently in the past from the county through this program. So if they've had a project in the last year, they get less points than if they haven't had one in the last 5 years. So then we rank, and then we have approximately $2.5 million a year that we put into this program. So this is an award just over $5 million total. So for the 2 years, we're awarding this amount. And then there is a limit for one project per city per year. So you won't see, a city on here for more than one project in a year either. And then as far as how long they have to use the money, we award it for 21 and 22. However, we work with the cities. If they call us and say, hey, we're really not going to get to it till 23, we had some budget problems, we hold the money for them. It's not that we give it away. We've even had cases where they can't get the funding together for that project and they come back and ask for a change. We'll evaluate that and make sure it's still a worthy project and then present that back to council if a change is asked for. So we work pretty close with the cities on these to make sure that they can, utilize the money we award them.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, to my colleagues, I appreciate the flexibility to understand that I just see one project from the city of Brooklyn, and I look forward to sitting with you and having more of an intimate understanding, but I wanted to be able to get back to the mayor over there and tell her what's happening, and you gave me the opportunity to understand a little bit better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
I had one, Chair, if you don't mind.
Yes, Ms. Baker?
The 5 million that you mentioned, has there been an increase at all over the years? Is 5 million, in your opinion, adequate? What are your thoughts on that?
It was 2 million, and then we raised it to 2.5 a year when we got the increase in license tax fees for 2019. So we did increase the program. This program is kind of nice because it spreads the wealth around, but 250,000 isn't a ton for cities to use. So we increased it to make sure we could get a couple more projects a year, but we do see a bigger impact when we put some extra money into those operations projects because you can get some bigger projects done over there. So I think the funding is pretty adequate. I mean, you see 22 projects we're going to do over 2 years. I want to say there was about 15 that didn't get funded, so we funded more than half that came in. So I think it's a pretty good number for right now.
So if I may, so the vehicle increase that we did has a direct impact on these projects.
Exactly. Yeah, $500,000 a year.
Good. Thank you.
So, Ms. English, can you tell us what determines whether projects are done under this 50/50 program or whether they're done like these other resolutions that we have coming up later on the agenda that are typically 80/20?
In general, these projects are smaller, so you'll see the total cost is, should be around $500,000. Sometimes the city needs to fill a funding gap if they do have federal money involved, and so they just are missing a little piece that they come to us with for the 50/50. But the cities really determine if they want to go after this 50/50 money. We also tell them it's better for smaller roads that aren't major thoroughfare county roads because we really wouldn't look to do an operations project on something that maybe only has a couple thousand vehicles on it in general. So the 50/50 program is kind of like the next lower tier roads versus the operations jobs. Operations are bigger roads, more highly traveled in general, maybe have a couple 4 lanes, 3 lanes, opposed to just a 2-lane local road. It's, the cities do apply, so they could apply for any road. It's not that they can only apply for those roads, but that's what in our package of information on our road programs, it's kind of how we steer cities, that these 50/50 jobs are really for, more of your local, smaller projects, maybe shorter stretches of projects.
And Ms. English, how soon are we planning on starting construction on the 2021 projects on this list?
Some of the cities are going to be ready to go in the spring. That's why our hope is to try to get these passed. They were delayed a bit at the end of last year. So we would ask for second reading suspension so that the cities, we can get legislation to them. They can get it passed and feel comfortable when they bid their project that they have our money to do the project.
Are there any other questions by my colleagues?
Nope.
Hearing none, is there a motion to recommend for second reading suspension?
Make that motion to recommend.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Was the second from Sweeney?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we had Ms. Baker first and Marty Sweeney second. Thank you very much, colleagues. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and resolution 2021-0010 is recommended to the full council on second reading suspension. And we will move on to 2021-0011.
Resolution number 2021-0011, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Coventry Road from Fair Hill Road to Euclid Heights Boulevard in the city of Cleveland Heights. Total estimated project cost $1,800,000.
Ms. English.
Again, I'm presenting these next items. There's 9 total that you'll see in a row, 11 through 19. These are all related to our operations program. So this is our next set of 21 and 22 operations projects. These in general are selected by the county. So this isn't necessarily a city application that we score. These the county selects. We do listen to some requests that come in. So cities through the years will say, you know, can you take a look at this road, or we're really struggling to fund this project. And so we'll evaluate them. This program is primarily focused on pavement condition. That's really what we take NOACA's. NOACA takes all the streets in the whole county and they rank them based on condition. And we use that map to start our search, and we look at the worst roads. So the very poor and the poor roads to start with. And then we start narrowing down based on average daily traffic. We did put a focus, additional focus on economic health of the cities and the areas where these roads are, to make sure that we're funding projects in areas that probably hadn't been necessarily looked at in the past all that well. So that's the overall for the project. We did put additional money in this year. So typically we put about $3 million per year in this program. We added another $3 million a year because of the federal aid projects that came in under. We got quite a bit of funding through NOACA for 21 and 22 for our projects. And so the amount of county need to go into that program went down. So we have transferred the funds over to the operations projects because, like I said before, you know, this is where we could really get some big projects done and get a good bang for our buck. We're getting bigger projects, more impactful, that can really help the neighborhoods that they're in. So the first one is Coventry from Fairhill to Euclid Heights. Cleveland Heights has really been struggling to fund this project over probably the last 4 years or so. It's a $1.8 million estimate. This one would be completed in 21. They actually have the design ready to go, so this would be constructed. In general, these projects are 80-20, county paying 80% of the construction, 20% being paid for by the city. We will look to supplement many of these projects with Issue 1 grant funding. So some of our share should come down once we apply and get awarded Issue 1 grant funding. But that has not been finalized for this year. Issue 1 is currently reviewing the application, so we don't have a final award on those. So I guess I'm happy to answer any questions on the program in general or this specific item, and then we can go through each one after that.
So Ms. English, on each one, could you also give us the pavement rating?
Sure. So Coventry is 53 PCR, so the pavement rating goes from 0 to 100, 100 being the best, and it's poor, in poor condition.
Questions by my colleagues?
Just one, Chair.
Ms. Baker?
Nicole, are these the roads that were held earlier in the year because of the economic status of the county and the uncertainty of the virus? Is this the completed list?
Correct. So we had started developing this list, I mean, Matt, probably about this time last year, you know, and it was once COVID hit, it was kind of put on hold to be sure that we know what monies are coming in, and because this is a big chunk of money that we're putting out for the next 2 years. So we were on hold. The good news was we watched the license tax funds coming in, which, you know, is our main funding source for road and bridge projects. And while they were slowed during the time that they had sort of shut down the BMVs and said you don't need to renew, they are picking back up. And the state has told us they anticipate very little drop off from previous years. It will come late, but the money is still anticipated to come. And we're seeing that on our receipts. They're already picking up.
If I may follow up. This money has already been put aside, so we're not looking for anticipated new money to fulfill these. This was already budgeted. Am I correct?
Correct. So we said in our CIP we have a 5-year capital improvement plan, and we set aside so much money for this program. We don't necessarily have the roads identified at the time we set it aside, but we do set aside the chunk of money. And like I said, there was additional money set aside for the federal aid projects that was not going to be utilized once we programmed all of those. I want to say we came to you in the summer with all the federal aid projects. So we knew there was a surplus that we were going to move over to this program. So yes, it was always captured in the CIP.
And one last wrap up, Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may. Please proceed.
Is this the final list? There are no others that are being held. This is what was scheduled and now being implemented?
Correct. So I don't want to say you won't see another project until, you know, for 2 years, but in general, this is completing our list of operations. We did the federal aid last year. You saw the 50-50. So there are a couple ones that might pop up here and there that are sort of outliers, but this is the list that we have been working on for the operations jobs.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions?
Nope.
Yes. Is there a question?
No question.
Okay, fine. So since this is a 2021 project that's ready to go, I'd like to ask for a motion for referral for second reading suspension.
I'll move that motion.
Second, Conwell.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilpersons Baker and seconded by Conwell to refer Resolution 2021-0011 to the full council for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is so recommended. Resolution 2021-12.
Resolution number 2021-0012, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Dunham Road from Turney Road to Libby Road in the city of Maple Heights. Total estimated project cost, $1,800,000.
Ms. English?
So this project, Dunham Road, is in Maple Heights. It's 1.8 miles. The pavement rating is 62, which is fair to poor, but dropping probably by the time we do this. This is scheduled for a 22 project. And this one's economic health score pushed them up above because it is in Maple Heights, and they get some additional points for the economic health. It's split 80-20 like the others. And the nice part about this is we do have another project on Dunham Road further south. So this will complete a major portion of Dunham Road in Maple Heights and surrounding communities. So I think this will fit in nicely.
So, Ms. English, since this is a 22 project, can this one go 3 readings?
Yeah, that's fine. We could go one by one. This one is fine. It could go 3.
And are there other questions by my colleagues?
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
when was this road last resurfaced by the county? If it had been.
Yes, I normally have that. I wonder if we could not find. We normally put that on the sheet, but sometimes it can't be found. So just
Okay.
another quick, since Councilman Sweeney's on, just so he knows that the county roads within a municipality are owned by the city though, or the municipality. The county does not have maintenance responsibility. However, we do support the cities, and that's why we do these road projects. So sometimes a road was last resurfaced by the county. Sometimes it could have been the city because it is their responsibility, but we assist. So just to make it clear that, it might not have been done by us. It might have been done by the city, but I can find the last year and get
Thank
back to you.
And last, Mr. Chairman, if you would add my name to this road project.
Okay, please have the council president's name added to this resolution. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to recommend this resolution to the full council for second reading?
So moved, Conwell.
Second, Baker.
Been moved by Councilperson Conwell and seconded by Councilperson Baker to refer this resolution to the full council for second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The resolution is so recommended, and we will move on to Resolution 2021-0013. Ms. English.
Oh, sorry. Did we read it into the record? Did I miss it?
It has been read into the record. We're ready to go.
Sorry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I was still reading. Sorry about that. Resolution number 2021-0013, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Garfield Boulevard from Warner Road to Turney Road in the city of Garfield Heights. Total estimated project cost, $1,900,000.
Thank you.
Okay, so this one is Garfield Boulevard from Warner to Turning Garfield Heights. It's about a mile long. This pavement condition is 48, so that's poor. And this one is 80/20 being split with the county and Garfield Heights.
And when does the construction start on this one?
22, so we could let this one go 3 readings also.
Fine. Okay. Are there questions by my colleagues?
Yes, Councilman Miller.
Yes, Ms. Conwell.
To the chair, to to Nicole. I'm wondering, in all these projects, are we offering the maintenance program to keep them in good condition once they're done? Is that part of the spiel when you go out to talk to the cities, or if they come to you?
Yes, so we're doing the first fix on us is kind of what we're calling it. So every project that we've done, and we actually went back about the last 5 years and started that crack seal program that you see we're going to start selling once a year. I think we're on our 2nd year that we've sold that, where we actually put out the crack seal project ourselves and we go back and do the projects that we invested in. So the first fix on us is where we'll come out and do the first crack seal when we think it's the most important, right? So within 2 to 4 years, we'll start our highway design engineers go out and look at the roads and determine when the right time is to get the cracks. And the very first one is really the most important. If you get on it right away, we see the pavement is lasting significantly longer. So yes, these are all going to be included in that program.
Okay, and that was an additional question. So we do any funds that the county assists these municipalities with, our team is going out and checking those roads?
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman?
questions by my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To follow up on Councilwoman Conwell's line of questioning, if a municipality has their own crack sealing operation, would you still do that? Or would you ask them to do it because it would keep our cost down and let us spread it out a little bit more?
On the projects that we do capital improvement projects on, we've been typically going in and selling our own crack seal contract. If the city has their own and wants to do it themselves, we definitely talk to them. We work with them and they pass a kind of a MOU between us to say that they want us to do the work. So they would ask if they wanted to do the work, we could entertain that. We also have a separate program that you'll see come through, which is our preventative maintenance program. That's not necessarily on projects we did. It could be on any county roads that annually cities apply for, and they can get up to $200,000 of material costs. So that helps do other county roads, not necessarily ones that we've done recently. So we also assist in that manner. And we do see some cities that do it themselves. And so they're able to even use our money, make it go further because they can just buy the materials with our money and then do the work themselves.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, one brief follow-up.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. It's just the dollars are built in the project, so that's why the crack sealing continues. And just on the importance of crack sealing, it is something that is very, very valuable to keep the longevity of the roads in place. So I commend whoever, that always hasn't been the practice, and from my perspective. Thank you.
Right.
Are there any other questions by my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman, please add my name to this resolution as well.
Okay, please have the council president's name added to resolution 13. And are there any other questions? Is there a motion to refer resolution 13 to the full council for second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Sweeney and a second from Councilwoman Baker to move resolution 2021-13 to the full council for second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is recommended. We now have resolution 2021-14.
Resolution number 2021-0014, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Green Road from Euclid Avenue to South Corporation Line in the city of Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $1,100,000.
Ms. English.
Again, this project is about 1 mile, 1.1 miles. Poor condition, 42 on the PCR schedule. And this actually has over 10,000 vehicles a day. So it's got quite a bit of vehicles. It's in bad condition. So we're looking to partner with Cleveland on an 80/20 for this project in 22. So we can go 3 readings with this one as well.
Questions by my colleagues? Okay. Do we have a motion to refer for second reading to the full council?
I'll make that motion for second reading.
Second, Sweeney.
Okay, we have a first from Councilwoman Baker and a second from Councilman Sweeney. All those in favor say aye.
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 But I do have a question for Ms. Wood, for Nicole.
Okay.
Where exactly does this project end on Euclid?
So it ends at the Corp line, which is about, it's about halfway between Euclid and Monticello. So I believe it's in your council district.
No, I believe it's Stevens, but
They had listed 7 on here.
It's
You think-
actually on. It's on South Green. It's on.
Green,
Well, I
yes.
have my name, but I don't think it's mine. But I have my name.
If not, it's
You know,
close.
that's it. Yeah, it's close, but you know, and I'm trying to think of the road. I think it's in what was the rating for this?
42, poor. So it's south of Euclid and north of Monticello.
Okay. So who is actually putting in funds for this? Us
In
and who else?
Cleveland, us in Cleveland.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Ms.
Mhm.
Conwell, you would like your name added to this resolution, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, please add Councilwoman Conwell's name to this resolution. And since the roll call was not quite completed, just to be cautious, we're going to do it again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The resolution is approved for referral to second reading. And we now have resolution 2021-15.
Resolution number 2021-0015, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Ivanhoe Road from Euclid Avenue to East 152nd Street in the cities of Cleveland and East Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $1,340,000.
Ms. English.
Nicole. Okay, this is anticipated to be a 21 job. This pavement condition rating was 57 when it was ranked by NOACA fair to poor. However, we went out and looked and it looks like it's failing pretty quickly. So I would guess that if we went out today, it would probably be closer to poor condition wise. We are anticipating this to be an 80/20 project, but we do look to get issue 1 funds with this to fill the local share so that there would not be a local share for either Cleveland or East Cleveland on the project.
Questions by my colleagues?
Yes, Councilman.
Ms. Conwell.
Through the chair to Nicole, just wondering, I know the city of Cleveland is putting in funding as well. That road is pretty poor. I've driven it and I'm just wondering, do you have any specs if they are going to fix the curbs and all that included in this project, or do you know?
Yeah, so typically we resurface curb to curb, but if the curb is deteriorated, we will fix the curbs as well. It's not, we don't go through and just take out the curb and put in new, but if it's a problem, we will fix that. The drive aprons, we upgrade all the curb ramps to make sure they're ADA compliant. That would all be part of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions by my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman, briefly.
Yes, Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nicole, just a question on communication to the partners of the municipalities. How do you communicate that the roads were done? Basically, the question is, council members would like to know this, and I imagine the mayor hears about it, but just the ability for it to come through to the council members might be helpful to them to understand what's happening in their community and to be able to get it out to their constituents. Is that something that happens or something to be considered?
Are you talking about city council members?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, is that up to
Yeah.
Normally what happened, Mr. Chairman, would be the director would know about it and the administration would know about it, but the communication to the council members may not be as seamless. And if there's, the council is important as we know right here. So letting the council member know of their jurisdiction or the council president would be just a thought that came through as I've been listening to the discussion today. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, something we could consider, because we typically work through, like you said, the director, as we're ranking the projects and start, getting down to the ones we're going to select, we are talking to the cities to be sure that, they don't already have a project scheduled for this area, or that they do have the local share that they could help us with. So we are working closely with the city departments, and then we send over legislation that needs to be passed. And almost every city, the legislation goes to council, but Cleveland, I believe they give the authority to sign the legislation, because I believe Director Sprance signs the legislation. So I'm not sure if it goes to council to be presented, or if they present it in a massive group of all the projects coming up, but we can work on that communication for sure.
And Mr. Chairman, and I was trying to take some of the work away from me. I can do that as well for the district council members. And just, it's more of the timing thing. We know it passed, but county council has done it themselves. Now it's alive, and it should be vice versa. So the communication between city and county council is something that is important. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues.
And you will see this again when we sell the project. So this is the start. The welfare and convenience is kind of our announcement that you guys are endorsing the project. We can design it and we could start working on the plans. And then when we sell the project for actual construction, that'll come back before council. Unless it's under 500,000, it would go to Board of Control for award, but typically these are over 500. So you will see it one last time before it actually goes out and starts construction. So you'll have kind of a heads up right, before it's ready to start as well.
Thank you.
Are there other questions by my colleagues? Since this is a 2021 project, if my colleagues are willing, I'd like to recommend this one for second reading suspension. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll
I'll
make
make
the motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. It sounded like Councilwoman Baker and Councilman Sweeney for first and second.
I think it was Councilwoman Conwell for the second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Conwell for second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The resolution 2021-15 is recommended to the full council with a recommendation for second reading suspension. And next is 2021-16.
Mr. Chair, can I ask that Miss English, as she talks about each project, can she state which district they're in? Because there's some, thank you.
Resolution number 2021-0016, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires improvements to Lakeshore Boulevard from East 217th Street to East 228th Street in the city of Euclid. Total estimated project cost $1 million.
Miss English.
All right, this project is slightly different than the rest that you'll see. So it's not strictly just a resurfacing. Actually, the city of Euclid had been talking to us about improving some of their intersections around this area. So it's as part of the lakefront plan and their lakefront initiative, they're looking to increase pedestrian safety going to the lake. So they're looking to make these intersection improvements from East 217th to East 228th. So we have partnered with them on a 50%, not necessarily the 50-50 program, but we've asked to contribute half of the project. They estimate $1 million, so we would contribute $500,000. So this one is a little bit different in the funding percentages, but we still think it was a worthy project. And it'll actually be multimodal, so it will help both, the vehicles, the pedestrians, and bicyclists around this area. And there is over 16,000 vehicles per day on Lakeshore, so the safety improvement is pretty important in the area of Euclid. And, sorry, go ahead.
And Ms. English, what district is this in? And is this a 2021 or a 2022 project?
This is 2021. The city has designed this, so they're eager to get started. I know they call us almost weekly asking for an update, so they'll be happy to see if we could get this second reading suspension. And I have District 11 on my page. Does that sound right?
That sounds
Yes,
right.
I think.
Yes, it
Yes,
does.
I think so. Yes.
Questions by my colleagues?
If I may ask, Chair,
Ms. Baker?
is there a rating as far as deterioration from the reasons why, when we put the point system to it, that this raised above some other roads that may have been in poor condition?
We didn't use the pavement condition rating for this one as a factor because it's really more of a safety problem at the intersections opposed to potholes necessarily. So this kind of was an outlier that came to us. It's not necessarily part of operations, but since we were presenting these programs all together, we wanted to get this as part of the package just to get all these projects processed through. So it's a bit of an outlier. But we feel that it had a lot of good merit to it just based on sort of meeting, the lakefront plan, the greenways plan initiatives, and just being multimodal and safety. So this is one of those a little bit outside the box from our normal operations, but still a worthy project that we were hoping to help the city with.
If I may follow up,
Yes, please.
was there any other pot of money that this could have come out of as a 50-50 that, wouldn't be in the rating system of poor and needing a patching? And it just seems, as you said, I know it's an outlier, it just seems odd to have an improvement in this list where it's concentrating on trying to get roads repaired. And I know there's probably roads that aren't going to be addressed because they didn't quite make the rating system. Is there any thoughts on that?
I guess we have we have some reserves that we use for the emergencies or, one-offs that come up that people ask for that then we do evaluate as worthy projects. So whether it comes out of the operations or a different funding pot, we could shift it in that manner so it doesn't, appear on the same list as all the other operations. It kind of just fell in line with timing of the rest of them. So it's been on the list just because those were all the projects we were trying to push forward. So it's $500,000, not a huge number as far as the operations, but we could look to swap that out for reserves and take it off the operations list if that is more comfortable so that it's not being compared to the others.
Chair, if I just may, I will certainly support this and understand, the reasoning and behind it, but I do think for future asks of our support, I think it should all follow in line. If any of our cities are looking at this list, it could zero in on this and say, why did my road not get accepted? And this was something that was not a poor rating of needing of county funds of 80%. It's just, I would just be a little concerned if any of the cities that didn't qualify may look at that and say, this doesn't seem to be a fit for the dollars that were set aside for this program.
Understood. And just as a reminder, these ones aren't ones that cities apply for, so the county does select them. So there isn't necessarily a scoring system that goes into it. It's more of we work with a big map and then we look at where's the poor conditions and kind of narrow down on our own. So at least we're not sending letters to cities that said you were not selected based on a scoring. So if that gives any comfort, but I hear your point, understand.
Thank you. And I still think even though it's the county selection, it still could raise for those cities that thought they might get some funding and didn't, may come back on us and say, why was this included in this pot of money? But I hear you, I'm going to support it. I just think for future, we should maybe consider that.
Understood.
Any other questions by my colleagues? Hearing none, is there a motion for referral to the full council with recommendation for second reading suspension?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Conwell.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Sweeney, seconded by Councilwoman Conwell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. It's approved to recommend Resolution 2021-16 for the full council, second reading suspension, and we will go on to 2021-17.
Resolution number 2021-0017, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Superior Road from Euclid Avenue to Lee Road in the cities of Cleveland Heights and East Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $4,300,000.
Nicole English again. So this one is a little bit different. So it was selected as an operations project initially for only the East Cleveland part. But then when we started talking to the cities, Cleveland Heights had been awarded a federal aid project for their section of Superior. So we've worked with both cities where we are going to combine the projects and do them as one so that you don't have two different contractors out there at the same time, because we were both looking to do this work in 2022. So when you look at the funding split that we have, it is 80-20 on the East Cleveland part, where we're going to apply for issue 1 to get East Cleveland's share of the 20%. And then there is federal money in this of $800,000, and Cleveland Heights has a match for their federal share of $200,000. So it's a little bit, I just didn't want you to look at the funding and wonder why there's all these different funding sources when this is the operations project. But it is because there was already an ongoing project. We wanted to piggyback on that, get some economy of scale with one contractor out there, and do all this work at one time. So it's still 80-20 with an issue 1 covering the local share. However, the Cleveland Heights portion already was funded with federal money and their local money. So that's why there's all these different pots going into the project. The condition of the road is 39, which is very poor. I think that might be our worst road that we're presenting today, and it's in District 10.
So this remains a 2022 project, is that correct?
Correct.
Questions by my colleagues?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms.
Through the chair to Ms. English, along that road, and I would like to have my name added. I know it's not in my district, but I drive that road a lot, and so I know the condition. It's probably a 37 in my book. But any of the demolition for any of the properties along the road, is that taken in consideration before you do a project of this size? Because those heavy trucks, once the road is done, those heavy trucks come in and they kind of tear up the roads. Is there any consideration done on that?
I mean, we work with the city on the year and the timing. So if they know that they have something big coming up, then they would, ask us to hold off maybe. But they had not told us. They indicated 22 was a good year for them. So, I'm not aware of any outstanding demolition that would be taking place that we should hold off, but we're definitely willing to talk to them if they think we should push it off a little bit. The only part of this one, because it is tied to a federal job, ODOT is a little more strict on the schedule, and so they will want us to deliver the project. And if we can't, we need to tell them sooner than later. But we'll reach out to East Cleveland just to be sure that they feel 22 is a good time to do the road.
Thank you.
Any other questions by my colleagues?
Just one comment.
Yes.
Thank you to Public Works and Nicole for working together with those two cities and making sure that it's a cooperative effort. This could have been done differently. And I appreciate the work that you did to make sure that we coordinate and got the best bang for our dollars. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
Any other questions? the clerk will please add Ms. Conwell's name as requested. Being a 2022 project, we'll go with second reading on this one. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Baker and seconded by Councilman Sweeney for Resolution 2021-17. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and Resolution 2021-17 is recommended to the full council for second reading. And we go to 2021-18.
Resolution number 2021-0018, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of Union Road from Broadway Avenue North to Broadway Avenue South in the city of Bedford. Total estimated project cost $1 million.
Nicole English again. This is Union and Bedford. This is planned to be a 21 project. I know the city has been eagerly awaiting this street getting done. They've been asking about it for years. It is in Council District 9. The pavement condition rating is 54, which is poor. In some areas, it looks way worse than 4. It's definitely a problem. But this kind of goes through the center of their town. It's from one end of Broadway to the other, the whole length of Union Street.
Questions by my colleagues?
If I may, how many miles or how long is this road? You said it was quite an extension.
Just a mile, but it's essentially the whole length of Union.
I guess I would anticipate this would be more for the condition that it's in.
It's a 2-lane, fairly narrow road. The city had already looked at plans, so they had a pretty good estimate on it already because they had been looking for funding for this project for a little while. So we had a decent engineer's estimate going into the welfare and convenience, which sometimes we don't, and have more of a planning level estimate. So yeah, it does seem not too much money for a mile, but it's we think it's vetted, so it's a pretty good number.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions? And Ms. English, you said this is a 2021 project, is that correct? So we will ask for a motion for a second reading suspension.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Baker, seconded by Sweeney for second reading suspension for 2021-18. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the resolution is recommended for second reading suspension 2021-19.
Resolution number 2021-0019, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of West Ridgewood Drive from Ridge Road to State Road in the city of Parma. Total estimated project cost $2 million.
Ms. English,
Nicole English, this is our last operations project for this agenda. So this is West Ridgewood in Parma. It's a 2022 job, District 4. It is rated 44, which is poor on the PCR condition rating, and has 15,000 miles a day. So it's, pretty well traveled. It's a 4 to 5 lane section, which is why, even though it's just over a mile, this one is estimated at $2 million because of the width of the road.
questions by my colleagues? Okay, there aren't any. So being a 2022 project, we're going to ask for a motion for second reading for the full council. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Don't move. Oh, my bad.
And it was a little bit garbled coming in. Who made the second?
Conwell.
Great. So it's been moved and seconded to council persons Baker and Conwell. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. And The resolution is unanimously recommended for referral to the full council for second reading. And we now move off of the operations projects on to resolution 2021-20.
Resolution number 2021-0020, making an award on requisition number 1170 to Trimore Corporation in the amount not to exceed $4,723,245 for the reconstruction of Apron H and Taxiway B at the Cuyahoga County Airport.
I believe that we have John Myers present on behalf of this project. Please proceed.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. We're seeking authority to award this contract in the $4.7 million amount referenced. This is for rehabilitation of Apron H and portions of Taxiway B at the Cuyahoga County Airport, renovating this concrete work primarily.
If I could speak to Nicole English from Public Works, I just have the details on the project as far as the bids that I would like to just present. That 9 bids were submitted. The engineer's estimate was $6.8 million, so this is significantly under the engineer's estimate as it came in. Trimore is the lowest and best bid. There's an 8% DBE goal, which is set by the FAA standards because this is federal money. 100% of it will be paid for by FAA. So we don't use our diversity program, but we do use the federal program, and they are scheduled to meet the DBE percentage that is was put out there. So just wanted to give you those details too.
Thank you very much for that information. And my question is as to how soon construction is scheduled to start and whether second reading suspension is requested on this item.
We would make that request, Mr. Chairman. We're looking to start in April, and we're already fine tuning the phasing, and we'd like to be able to have Trimore fully engaged as we fine tune and finalize the plans.
Questions by my colleagues?
Chair,
Yes, Ms. Conwell.
through the chair to Mr. Myers or Ms. English, can you prepare for council? There's been a lot of work done over the years for the county airport. Can you let us know the dollar amounts that we've put in that and what projects still need to be done in terms of the county?
For sure.
Be happy to. We hope to be coming back to you. We have another large private investment project that we hope to be back before you in early February for your approval and authority. And would like to take that time to give a brief overview of recent history at the airport.
Thank you.
And I believe that the airport is in Council District 11 to Mr.
Correct.
Myers. Have you consulted with Councilwoman Simon on this project, and is she in support?
I have not specifically spoken to her about the apron reconstruction project.
So I would request that prior to when this gets to council, if you would please confirm with Ms. Simon.
Sure.
And brief her on this project.
Most definitely.
Are there any other questions by my colleagues? Hearing none, I will support your request and ask if one of my colleagues would make a motion for second reading.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Myers, it's nice hearing your voice. The question I have is this an FAA mandate or is this the regular maintenance of the apron and airfield operation?
Mr. Chairman, to Councilman Sweeney, thank you for the greeting. Yes, this is required by FAA to meet their standards. Both ODOT and FAA measure and grade our pavement, and it's at a level that requires this attention, and we're happy to have their financial support to achieve their standards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One brief follow-up.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Since you said it's a requirement to keep it in its form, is there a deadline when they want it done? And that's why you need to start in April and stay within the compliance of their request, Mr. Myers?
There is, Mr. Chairman, to Councilman Sweeney, there is not a deadline. We work very closely with our airport district office, which is headquartered in Detroit. So they're very conscious of all of our needs and conditions. These are things that sometimes take several years to work their way through. So they're aware of it, and but it's not a specific deadline. It's just the time has come for it to be done, and the funds are available to support us in that project.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Myers.
Yes.
through the chair to Ms. English or Mr. Myers, in terms of the big gap in funding or the estimate, the big gap in the estimate, what do you feel about that?
I think the timing is good. We put this out to bid in June, but we told them they probably wouldn't be starting until the following year. So they were able to plan pretty well. So that gets us a good price that we weren't forcing a schedule to meet. Again, in June of last year, I think people were pretty hungry for work, just not knowing what was happening with COVID also. We saw some additional competition on that side. And then just in general, it's sometimes hard to estimate some of these unique projects, right? We're pretty traditional on our roadway resurfacing. We know how much asphalt costs. You know, it's a pretty standard approach. I think these airport projects, the engineers do the best they can to estimate what it's going to cost, but really until the contractor gets on board and looks at it, they know how quickly they can get it done and what kind of methods they need to use out there.
Okay, thank you.
But they were close to the other bids, so I just don't want you to think that somehow it's way low and something is off. I mean, the bids were close, so we feel like it is the price, and we review them internal and with our consultant to be sure that they're accurate. So there was quite a few in line with this price.
Okay, so it was just the engineer's estimate that was kind of high.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion to refer this resolution for a second reading suspension?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Sweeney.
It's been moved and seconded by councilpersons Baker and Sweeney. The second reading suspension as requested by the administration. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution is recommended for second reading suspension. Resolution 2021-21.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Resolution number 2021-0021, making an award on requisition number 2979 to Fabrizi Recycling in the amount not to exceed $1,414,375 for the 2020 Catch Basin and Test T Repair Program for various county sewer districts.
And who is presenting on behalf of the administration regarding this item?
You have me again, Nicole English. We're almost done here. This is a project that we put out to bid. You might remember that we're normally putting a sewer repair project out annually that we help the cities that we have sewer agreements with. We've noticed that there's been an increase in catch basin and test tees, which is how the sewer connects to what's going to go up to the house. And what was happening in the sewer repair contract is the cost for mobilizing was quite a bit higher because it was really envisioned for bigger projects, not these smaller. So our sanitary division decided in order to be economically more competitive, we should put out a separate contract that just is going to be for fixing catch basins and test tees and get us some better pricing related to that we can then pass on to the city. So that's what this contract is. It's the first of its kind that we have released, but we do anticipate this will be coming back on a annual 18-month period, depending how quickly they go through the money. So this was bid. There was 5 bidders that responded. The engineer's estimate was $1.5 million. The selected lowest and best bid is for Breezy at 1.4 and some change, so they're slightly under the engineer's estimate, and they are compliant with a 7% SBE goal, 17% MBE, and 6% WBE that was set by OPD.
And Ms. English, we're within a month of the scheduled start date. Are you requesting second reading suspension?
We are, I believe we put a February 15th as our hope to be able to start the contract. So we do need second reading to make that.
Are there any questions by my colleagues?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Conwell.
To the chair, to Ms. English, how are we funding the 2020 catch basin program?
It'll be funded by the sewer district fees. So wherever we do the work, it'll be billed back to that city's funds. So whether they're on a where we collect through the taxes or a direct bill program to the cities, it gets billed back to the cities.
Okay. And I knew it was new, and that was going to be my question in regards to that. Is there some kind of way that you can do a presentation in future council meetings in regards to the new program?
Sure. I think we could do just an overall on sanitary again, just to go through, which cities we have agreements with, which type, all these different contracts that we release, but then what we do in-house. We'd be happy, to bring that forward whenever you guys want at the next meeting, or I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice today. So we'll maybe next time we can bring that forward and just talk through all the sanitary work that we do.
Yeah, and have pictures, because I'm a visual person.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone saw the communications team, they released last week a really nice little short video about our sanitary department, and that's a good tool. They interviewed one of our sanitary supervisors. They showed our guys out working in the field. It's just kind of a nice short couple-minute clip on our sanitary services. So I can forward that to you too, just in case you didn't see it or view it.
Thank you.
And just to follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To follow up on Councilwoman Conwell's request, I just wouldn't mind knowing how because it's a residential home on occasion that the testees put in there, and it's the selection process. Are they qualified for it or not? It's a discussion point in other municipalities of, is it their responsibility or is the city or the county's responsibility? And I wouldn't mind knowing how the county would work in the selection process when you make the presentation, if it wasn't going to be part of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other questions?
In a follow-up to that, I was going to ask a similar question. Thank you, Chair. That when you start getting into the homeowner or property owner, where does the line cross where the property owner becomes responsible, if that is applicable to this?
And I'd want Dave Marquardt to talk more towards this when we come back with the responsibility of the county engineer, because I do think some cities have different opinions. And so, we are working on behalf of the city in most of these places. The county, it's not the county's infrastructure. This is just a service that we provide. So we really follow the lead of what the cities want us to do and where they sort of draw the line. So I don't want to speak overturn, but we will definitely include that in our presentation to kind of just walk through what we do in different cities.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for second reading suspension on this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
So
Second, Conwell.
It's been moved and seconded by councilpersons Baker and Conwell for second reading suspension on 2021-21. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and it is recommended for second reading suspension. We come to our last item, 2021-22.
Resolution number 2021-0022, authorizing a revenue generating utility agreement, the city of Cleveland Heights, in the amount not to exceed $600,000 for maintenance and repair of storm and sanitary sewers located in County Sewer District 17.
Ms. English.
one. So this is like we just talked about, where we do the work for the cities. This is one of those agreements. Cleveland Heights has the direct bill, so they would request work from us. We tell them, we give them an estimate as to a task, how much it's going to cost. They tell us to go ahead and do the work, and then we bill them for it. So they're putting aside $600,000 for this upcoming year for this type of work. It starts at the beginning of the year. I don't know if there was any service between then and now, but I believe if there was an emergency, we would have went out and did it, even though the agreement was working its way through the system. They had to pass it through their council. They did that late last year. Again, we tried to get this on towards the end of December. I believe, there wasn't a meeting at the end, and we wanted a clean slate moving forward, which is why it appeared on the first meeting in January. So apologize for the delay, but it is revenue generating. And the cities, they just like to do an annual agreement. We try to get them to do a couple years if possible, but they like to pass it annually to be sure they know how much money they're setting aside. So we got it here as soon as we could.
Thanks for that presentation. Any questions by my colleagues? Hearing none, since this is a 1/1 start date, we're going to, if my colleagues support, we're going to go for second reading suspension. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion, Chair.
Is there a second?
Second, Sweeney.
So we have a motion and a second by Councilpersons Baker and Sweeney on 2021-22 for second reading suspension to be so recommended to council leadership. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and resolution 2021-22 is so recommended. This completes the items that were referred in terms of legislative business. Is there any miscellaneous business before the committee? Hearing none, and our business being completed, I would thank everyone for their time and attention through this long agenda, both administration and colleagues. And with nothing further holding our attention, we stand adjourned. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dale.